Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is, or that's even, is Joe Smith.
That's not what you called me a minute ago, is it?
I'm sorry. Listen, I thought we weren't going to do this on camera. I've apologised. Right. I think we've both learned something from it.
You said I was pissed. Carry on.
I've got to give a bit of context. I didn't just go, you're pissed.
Well, let's give a bit of context to the game we've just watched instead, shall we?
Do we have to?
Yeah.
Because that game was pretty pissed, if we're being brutally honest. An hour and 20 minutes of my life, I won't get back. Apart from, as it says in the thumbnail.
You can add that onto every other single hour of your life that's happened so far, Jay.
Hey.
Unfortunately for you, there is no rewind button.
Some of them are more memorable than others, though, Joseph. And that one was very unmemorable. Were it not for the fact of Scott McTominay and his marvellousness, then I think we'd all be asleep by now. Because, yeah, that wasn't a game that years from now we'll be telling our grandkids about, was it?
Oh, where were you the day where Scott McTominay happened to bail out one of the most expensively assembled squads of all time in one of the worst games of football I've ever seen up until that point? I was next to Adam McCullough and he was pissed off.
No, I refuse to believe my good friend Adam McCullough
no, he was
would
mad.
be anything other than jubilant.
And I can see why, to be honest.
Football
the first,
feast.
When was the goal? 105 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, it was.
The first 90 minutes, 100 minutes were shocking. McTominay coming on, actually, I thought changed the game from when he came on, to be honest. I thought he looked good. He looked to carry the ball forward. Adam said it on the watch-along. He receives the ball higher up the pitch than Matic. So already when you're turning, the next pass is easier because you're not 70 yards away from the strikers. He linked the ball together, linked the play together very well with the ball. He drives forward with the ball well. He's very good. He's very fit. I don't know. He's not necessarily the quickest player, but he's not slow. And he's never stops running, which again, surely the minimum requirement. But athletically, he's very impressive. And he's now developing the knack of scoring not just goals, but important goals. Like, that was a big goal that he scored today. That one against Everton. I know we only got a draw in the end, but that was a big goal that he scored. And the fact that he keeps doing that consistently, I think he's now our third highest goal scorer this season. That's impressive for Scott McTominay, who, when he came into the squad, a lot of people thought he would only ever be, a second, third, fourth choice player. And for me this season, other than Paul Pogba, and Bruno Fernandes, I don't really even count him as a midfielder because he's an attacker. He's been our second best midfielder this season, Scott McTominay, quite comfortably. I think he's been a lot better than Fred, and I think Matic doesn't play enough to be considered for that title. So, yeah, I'm very impressed with Scott McTominay. I'm very impressed with how he's developing as a footballer, because you think of the player that came through initially, he is strides further ahead, strides better in quality than that player was only, 2 years ago. I'm really impressed with his improvement, and the fact that he's coming up to bail us out, again, it just speaks volumes of how much better he's got as a player and how important he is for United now.
100% agree with that. I think I did a poll today on the Stretford Paddock Twitter, and if you had to pick one of Matic, Fred or McTominay to play midfield, obviously alongside others, but if you had to pick one of those three, who would you pick? McTominay overwhelmingly won the vote. He's having a good season. You feel like it's not just his all-round play is better, but obviously he scored. Is that his 7th goal this season?
I think sixth
sorry.
or 7th, either way.
7th. I thought, forgive me, I'm wrong, but he scored a lot of goals, important goals as well. Like you saying, he gets around the pitch as well a lot more. And I think the sort of the debate, or who's the better player out of those, like you were saying, it's almost coming to an end now. It feels like with Fred, there's a lot of question marks there. Yep. With Matic, there's still a lot of question marks. With McTominay, it's far from perfect, but I don't think there are those questions now. I think you know what you're going to get from Scott McTominay, and he does what he should do. My only hope now is he can kick on a little bit more, because I think we've been a little bit too hasty sometimes with Scott McTominay, and we think this is as good as he's going to get. He's he's a 6 or 7 out of 10 type midfielder, or he's a 6 out of 10 every game midfielder. He'll give you the occasional 7, and once and every now and again he'll give you an 8, but he's not going to get much better than that. And I think that if you look at some of the players that he's been compared to in the past, like Darren Fletcher and maybe to a lesser degree Ji-Sung Park or whatever, sort of good squad players, they sort of, a lot of them, especially with Fletcher, when he was 21, 22, people had given up on him getting in United. When he got to 24, 25, that was when he was almost at his peak. He was for those 2 years, to the point where he got banned from the Champions League final. We were blaming the loss on that. So Scott McTominay is playing really well. I think he's got another level to reach, and I hope he does. We've got some super chats. Alex Buckingham says, McTominay is a better forward than Martial. Sorry, Adam. I think that's a nod to Adam McCall there. Joe Swarbrick says, our passing has been awful a lot this season. I think it never seems to be fluid and flowing. I think it's slowly becoming a problem. Just on that, Joe, what did you make of our passing today? Because we were joking earlier on about how bad that game was, but it wasn't just boring; it was frustrating as well for me.
Yeah, I mean, Rashford didn't know how to pass. Martial's passing was poor. Cavani's, I mean, he came on a bit late, but his passing wasn't ideal either. Fred, it's like before what you got with Fred, and earlier this season as well. When I say before, he hasn't been shit for 2 years. I'm talking pre-Christmas, the sort of recent run of games. With Fred, you get a very industrious player, a player that intercepts well, a player that tackles pretty well, and not one of the best in the world, but he gets that side of the job done. But you also get a player that can play the ball through the lines a little bit. He can play those 10, 15-yard passes. He's got an eye for a pass, even if he's not the best passer. And I don't know what's happened, whether it's a culmination of just confidence generally, whether it's something a build-up on social media of people starting to notice and tell him that he's not very good going forward, whether it's Bruno taking the piss out of him, stood over a free kick. I don't think it is that, but I don't know what it is. But Fred in the final third now is completely ineffective and has been for 6 weeks. And I don't know why, because he could never shoot. I'm not surprised that Fred can't shoot. But his passing, his choice of passes, the weight of his passing, the accuracy of his passing has gone through the floor recently. And I don't know what it is. I'm sure he's as frustrated as we are watching him, or more so. And hopefully it's something that can come back, because he's got worse at passing. It's like his confidence has gone. The way Martial, I think, his finishing seems to have got worse when he was always arguably the best finisher at the club. I think even when Lukaku was there, I would trust Martial in a one-on-one over anyone at Manchester United.
Yeah, I'd give you that.
Whereas now Martial's finishing, he doesn't finish like the one at the end there. 2017 Martial tucks it in the corner, no problem. Mm-hmm. And obviously he doesn't score every chance, but he's missed quite a few of those. There was 2 against Leeds, wasn't there, that he missed?
Oh, yeah, big misses. Yeah.
And it's the same with Fred. It's like even when he couldn't shoot, he could still pass. He's struggling to pass at the moment, and that spread through the whole team. I thought Tellers looked good in spells, but he sort of looked leggy toward the end. I'm not surprised that Ole took him off. Again, Rashford is just getting the ball, sprinting at the box, getting tackled. Repeat, get the ball, sprint at the box, gets tackled. Like, I don't quite know what's going on there. I like his urgency. I like that he likes to sprint at defenders, because we have too many players who get the ball. Look, there's a man that, I'll just pass it sideways. I like that he does that, but he needs to find the pass, or he needs to, sometimes dummy that and then roll it into Luke Shaw, or go down the line instead of always trying to cut into the box, because too many times today and in recent games he just gets it and just sprints at the defenders and gets tackled. And it's good that he's got that energy, but it's not quite working. But yeah, it was such a frustrating game for large parts of that. And United's passing in particular was just, I mean, you have to give West Ham some credit for blocking the lanes and defending well, but certainly playing through midfield, we were quite poor for most of the game today.
We've got some quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Harry Maguire. Just on your Fred point as well, one thing that, I agree with you. I think this is his worst spell, in my opinion, since he's started playing for Manchester United. And also, it sounds bad because you've had a go at his passing, which I agree with, and his shooting, but he's tackling as well.
Oh no!
Honestly, mate,
not the tackling.
I know.
As well.
I feel bad because I quite like Fred and Bean. I've got a soft spot for him, but he times his challenges so badly that he's not even close enough to make a foul. No. He's miles away at times, and the player just goes round him, and then he commits himself as well, so he can't get up to influence or to make it a second challenge. Fred
he dives in, doesn't he?
Yeah, Fred is a real worry. We've got a super chat as well about Donny van der Beek, but I think we've got some quotes that we can get into in a minute. Yeah,
it's from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
I'll read them out for us.
He said
Joe.
Some of the finishing, it was a bit side footy, burst the ball into the net. We need to learn off him. Talking about Scott McTominay, we need to be more clinical and finish the game off earlier. We did have chances, didn't we? Most, the biggest chance was Marcus Rashford's chance. Greenwood plays the ball across, it gets bobbled off 2 or 3 players in the middle of the box, lands at Marcus Rashford's chest 6 yards out. As it's landing, it hits it on the volley into the ground and just straight at the goalkeeper. Slightly frustrating, isn't it? Especially after we saw him miss the one at the weekend against Everton from not quite the same position, but on that left-hand side, goalie coming out to him, hit the goalkeeper both times.
I think the frustrating thing for me with that, and this sounds crackers, but I might be wrong, I've only seen it once, was the chest I thought let him down. I think he needed a Marouane Fellaini chest, the best chester in the history of football. But he chested it, I think onto his left foot.
Yeah.
And then he hit it he sort of scuffed it, didn't he? Because he hit it with his heel almost of his left foot. I think he needed to chest it onto his right and just hit it, chest it down, and then he could hit it like as one sort of movement, and he didn't. And I think that's what gave him that split second or extra, gave the keeper, Fabianski, that split second extra. And also, because it was on his left, it wasn't as clean a finish. And I think that's what let him down. I mean, the finish wasn't great, but I think had he chested it into his right foot, he could have just rifled that home or just slotted it home. And he didn't really do that. So, yeah, we seem to go through this stage with Marcus where, you know, he has a couple of games where you think, oh, he needs to step up, and then he'll get a goal or he'll get an important, you know, he'll get an assist or whatever. But no, tonight I don't think it was a particularly good game for him, and I'm a bit gutted that he played the full 120 minutes, because he's the one player that I think could do with a rest. And Bruno could do with rest. He got one tonight. He came on, obviously. Cavani, you want a rest. He got a rest. He came on. Even Luke Shaw, you could argue, do rest. He got a rest because he came on as a sub. Marcus plays the whole 120 minutes. I expect him to play against West Brom as well. So, I don't know, he's someone for me who needs a bit of a breather, and I don't know when he's going to get it. I don't know where it's coming from.
Yep. Solskjaer again has said, I thought we dominated. I thought we were in complete control of the first half. Would you agree with that?
I know he's got a sort of, that's one quote of an interview, so you can't just say, well,
why do you think we were good? We were shit. But that is one.
When you look at that, it's a little bit cringy. Like, I feel we dominated, we're in complete control. I mean, it's almost David Moyes-esque. I mean, he's technically right. West Ham didn't have a lot of the ball.
I think they had one shot in the first half. United had 8.
Right. So in that respect, we did. But if I'm going to be critical, and I think we've got a right to be now, this Manchester United team, we expect better things than that. You know, we shouldn't take 120 minutes to beat West Ham at home.
No,
really.
Although
without fans.
Let's talk about West Ham for a second, because we have to give them a bit of credit. For me, they only really had a 15-minute spell from about 50 minutes to 65 minutes where they looked pretty good, I thought, West Ham.
Yeah.
Other than that, United controlled the game. But they were hard to break down. They have been very good this season. Would you say that's David Moyes' best performance at Old Trafford as a manager?
I think the 4-0 is. I've always said that. And I don't think that was better. I think going 4-2 down against Manchester United and join 4-0. Well done, Moyes. He actually cost us more titles than he won, which is just great. Thanks for that.
Right, let's not talk about David Moyes anymore. I want to talk a bit more about Scott McTominay.
All right. Should we get in that? Sorry.
We've got a super chat.
Bring that super chat up.
I've got a comment there as well.
Because just before you get into Scott McTominay.
Tay with a super chat. I'm worried for Van der Beek.
Go on.
What else does he do besides make an off-the-ball run and a couple of 5-yard passes back to midfield? He's been given opportunities. Are you at the point with Van der Beek where you sort of say, I can see why he don't play every week? Or do you still think... Because, I mean, I've seen it on social media for a long time.
If you've seen it on social media, it must be true. I'm honest.
For a long time, people were crying out for him to play every single week. Where's Van der Beek? Where's Van der Beek? When the lineup is announced in the Premier League and he's not on it, there are less calls for his name than there were 6 weeks ago. As we see more of him, people want to see less of him. If you kind of understand what I'm saying. Do you think he's a good squad player? Do you think he's not being given the chances, so why would he look great? Or do you think he has looked really good and he deserves a bit more time?
See, I'm this rare breed of Manchester United fan, and forgive me, I shouldn't even be sat here in front of a microphone, but I don't know a lot about Donny van der Beek. I know there's lots of people who know, have seen loads of him at Ajax and
let's not forget, Jay, those that pretend to have seen loads of him, because that's the majority. If name any footballer in the world and there is 50,000 people on Twitter that you just happen to follow that coincidentally have watched thousands of games of this 18-year-old who plays in the Ecuadorian 8th division. What do you mean you've never heard of San Quilo before? Give any player, let alone someone who's played for a giant such as Ajax, if anyone who pretends to have seen loads of Donny van der Beek watched him in any other games other than that Champions League run where they beat Real Madrid and they lost to Spurs, they are lying. Because there's about 60 people in the world that had seen him more than that.
Well, I'm not one of those 60 people, and I'm basing my I'm basing my opinions of Donny van der Beek on what I see him do for Manchester United. Now, from what I saw, I think it was at Southampton, he played very well.
Yeah.
He looks like a neat and tidy player. I can understand why he's not getting the games though, so I don't lose my mind. And I think a big part of it is, as you alluded to there, is we have got a strong midfield. I think when everyone's fit, we've got one of the strongest midfields in the league. I think with Pogba and Bruno, and then whether it's Scott McTominay or whether he plays Matic or Fred or whatever the combination he goes for, I can understand it because Donny van der Beek isn't the same type of player as a Matic or whoever. So it makes sense to me. And from what I've seen when he's coming into the first team, he's done all right, but he's not made me think, he's got to start next week.
No.
Now I know there will be people out there who will say that, especially with Pogba being out. But I'm still a bit like, I can understand why we're taking our time. He's done all right. I'm not, disappointed or anything with him, but I'm not clamouring to see him start every game. And I think as a squad player, he's a useful option. I think he did okay today. Didn't set the world alight. Maybe he kept it a little bit too simple. You could argue perhaps needed to sort of get a little bit more involved. But yeah, I think that this outrage that we see, or that we used to see, like you say, it's calmed down a little bit, that he wasn't starting every game. It has baffled me slightly. But then again, I'm not, unlike some people, an Ajax expert.
Well, you never watched Sanquillo, who Zebedi in the comments, I think that was the name, said, Sanquillo is sick. What the fuck are you on about? And I believe he is. And I'm not trying to have a go at Donny van de Beek at all, by the way. I think he was decent today. I think he's had games where he's been very good, games where he's been not so good. But he's not been head and shoulders better than, for instance, McTominay, who came on and looked sensational. I don't think the McTominay game against Leeds and the McTominay game tonight, Van der Beek's never done that for United. No, he's and we all, and no one's here saying McTominay's the best midfielder in Europe. So I think he maybe has to push himself a bit more. Not push himself a bit more. Keep doing what he's doing. But he's got a good place in the squad, and he started the game tonight and played the whole game.
I think there's me and you.
Not played the whole game, sorry. He started the game.
Yeah, one of the games a few months ago when he played, and we said that the main thing I think sometimes he's doing is just sort of showing Ollie he's an option. Not trying to break into the first team, but saying that if you're missing a player, I'm a good option. That's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to do anything spectacular. Just be like, you know what? He's a good player. If I can't, if Bruno needs a rest or if Pogba's out like he is, I can bring in Donny van de Beek. And that's probably the issue, is that you're not perhaps quite seeing that yet. Yep. It's maybe a little bit too average. And maybe we need to see a little bit more. But I'll be patient with Donny van de Beek. I think
Ross Murphy. He said, my thoughts on Van de Beek performance, he was just simple. I like to see him take more risks and maybe link up with Bruno. Would be better to maybe play him deeper. I think that might be an interesting idea. Play him next to McTominay or Matic potentially, and see what he can do. Not linking the ball from midfield to attack, but linking the ball from defence to midfield kind of thing. Like being
I tell you what, that's not a bad idea, because at the minute, as we spoke about at the beginning of this video, Fred's not exactly covering himself in glory. And I think that if you're going to put Van de Beek next to McTominay in sort of a deeper role, or Matic or whatever, would people be going, oh, well, we're going to miss Fred? I know the one sort of saving grace for Fred is he's got a lot of energy. Even at the moment when he's not.
Yeah, give him 120 minutes and he'll still be sprinting.
He's sprinting about. He wants the ball. He's always trying to get involved, which, I'll give him credit for that. But he hasn't having a great spell. So maybe there's an option there. But I still think Donny van de Beek's down the pecking order. And I don't think tonight will have changed anything, to be honest with you. He's obviously a very good player. But, I think it's going to be the end of the season, or maybe even next season when we start seeing more regularly. Yeah,
United Forever podcast says top of the Scots. Not bad at all. Nice with the help of Santa Notch, we're... carrying on Joe's Paddock pun traditions from the Friday Night Live. Yes, he is. Thanks. Yeah, keep the puns coming. I love a pun.
We're going to get that back one day,
Yeah, I did a small version of it on the on Steve's Super Bowl stream.
It was such an exciting show.
I may have to do it at a separate venue.
I used to love it when you used to ask me to send you videos and then didn't even use them.
That only happened once, and you sent me a few videos, and I always.
It was the last one, the finale. I thought I've lined up the kids, gather round the YouTube children. Daddy's going to be on the telly. Yeah, look, this is the thing. I've been filming upstairs. Look, watch, and no, didn't make the cut.
Forgot to use that one.
It's like the Happy Mondays video all over again.
Looking forward then. Yeah. West Brom coming up.
Yes,
but more importantly, more aptly after today's game.
Such a wordsmith.
The FA Cup, I think, is not only United's best chance of a trophy, but arguably the trophy we should be concentrating the most on now, because Europa League is a lot of two-legged bullshit for a trophy that is second rate, if we're being honest. Although I'd love to win it. I'd rather win it than lose it. And the league was always going to be very difficult, and is looking increasingly difficult, considering how well Man City are playing. How big is the FA Cup for United? How seriously should we take it? Because, whichever way you want to look at it, that was a rotated squad we saw tonight. At the minute, Martial isn't first choice. That midfield wasn't first choice. Bruno rested. Tellez.
Some would argue Henderson even playing his best football ever, so that's a big loss. I get where you're coming from. I agree that it is our best chance of silverware. I think it is. I think the Europa League is too long-winded, and it's a bit of an ask to play your strong teams in there, play our strongest team in there.
Yeah.
So I think the FA Cup's our best chance, but I still feel our priority should be the league. And I still feel that not just because we're still with a slim chance of a title race, but also we can't rest on our laurels with teams coming up from behind us. The Scousers could get their act together any time. Chelsea looking at a different animal under Tuchel. So you don't want to be in a situation where if you've got a choice between it's the FA Cup quarterfinals and a league game, you focus on the FA Cup, you drop points in the league, and before you know it, you're battling for fourth.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams that can take points off us as well in the Villa and Southampton, and I know we played them twice. But
I know
Everton.
top four's not a trophy, and we should be about silverware. But I expect us to go big in the summer, and we have to have Champions League football next season to offer players as a bit of a carrot. But listen, love the FA Cup, and I'd love us to win it.
Yeah, me too. They see the stats. I mean, when you look at it like that, we should have won more than 1-0, shouldn't we? But a lot of those shots.
That looks like a different game than what I've just watched.
Those stats don't really represent
those stats
how that game went.
90% of stats are made up on the spot, Joe.
Is that true? Why are you order? Right, that's going to be all from us tonight. Manchester United have just about beaten West Ham in the
cheered me up, you know. We won! I was sat upstairs, right, and I was deflated, and Scott McTominay scored a goal. I was like, yeah. And I came down and I was like, ugh. But yeah, you've perked me back up. I'm ready to rewatch the game now from start to finish.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the highlights.
For my post-match analysis.
I've got a feeling the highlights will be about 8 seconds long, and it'll start when Rashford passes that ball to
Mason's
McTominay.
bit of skill. Megan Noble.
That was it. That was good.
And the goal. But we will have the reaction from Adam McCullough
Yes.
and Stephen Howson and Andy Tate. So they'll be picking through the bones of that one. Don't worry. And then, what have we got now? West Brom game's coming up. So we'll have... Also,
the words thick and fast spring to mind, Jay.
Me and Thea together again, aren't we, on Thursday night as well?
Yeah, we are. Stretford Paddock live. We'll be back. All sorts of news going on this week as well.
Big story coming up on Thursday, hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's been Joe Smith. I'm Jim Elliott. Don't forget as well to hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Yes, guys, what's going on? Make sure you head over to stretfordpaddock.bigcartel.com. Check out all the new merch. Remember, members get 10% off. Go and do it now. See you later.